Okay, let's call this meeting of the Hayesville Planning Commission to order. First item of business is roll call.
Hager,
Here.
Rankin, Plummer,
Here.
Green, Weddington,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Hatcher.
Next item of business is the approval of minutes of August 13th, 2020.
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes as mailed.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? I think we had everybody here. Next item of business is a public hearing to consider a zone change request from A to BB. In order to create an opportunity for everyone to speak their opinions and present information, the Hayesville Planning Commission follows a specific procedure. A copy is available by the door. Your attention to this procedure is appreciated. I would entertain a motion to open public hearing to consider zone change requests from A, single family, to BB, 1 and 2 family for properly generally known as Reserve A, Paradise Valley Edition.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? We now formally open the public hearing. Have any commission members had any outside contact regarding this project? If so, please indicate to whom you have spoken and the nature of the conversation. I guess at this point I probably need to say that I reviewed the plat at PEC as it was going through. I don't know that that makes any difference, but
No, it doesn't.
it should still be probably said on the record. Do any of the members of the commission have a conflict of interest in this matter? If so, please disqualify yourself from further action on the planning commission for this case. No one? Has the city received any written or electronic communications on this matter? If so, please read or describe them.
No, no written.
Will staff please present the information regarding the case? It's brusque, but that's what the script says. I could have been kinder, but
I didn't want to waste words, you know.
Okay.
Short and sweet. Okay, you can kind of see on the map that was presented to you the area. It's where Jane meets Hemphill. That was once platted as a reserve and a park, but in 2007 that parcel was sold. They decided it was too small of a piece to make it any functional park, and with the way the neighborhood was going, the city didn't feel they needed to retain that property. Then recently it's sold, and that property did also acquire, it was 25 feet that wasn't initially sold, and the east half of Jane Street that was vacated a few years ago. We did maintain an easement there for, if you know that there's a drainage portion there, we did maintain the utility and drainage easements though. So what is requested here today is a change from a single family to 1 and 2 family to consider the construction of 2 duplexes. You have the site plan as well as some blueprints of the proposed structures in front of you. We did mail notices on August 20th and it was published in the newspaper on September 3rd. So our legal considerations for this, we have the following findings of fact for the zoning uses and character of the neighborhood. The subject property is open space that is currently occupied by mature trees. It was owned and maintained as a park space by the city prior to being sold in 2007. The property has remained vacant. Adjacent properties are zoned for a single family. To the west, south, and east are single family residences that were constructed in the 70s and 80s. And the property to the north is vacant land within the River Forest Edition. It is not uncommon for this neighborhood to have areas that are zoned the BB 1 and 2 family. As you'll see on that area map, it's the teal colored properties in that area. The property suitability, the property is currently zoned a single family. A single family does limit to single family detached homes and their accessory uses in parks. It also permits conditional uses for parks, community buildings, owned and operated by the city, churches, public schools, libraries, golf courses, and development of natural resources. The uses permitted in A district are suitable for the subject site and are compatible with the surrounding zoning uses. However, this site, as well as the surrounding zones and land uses, would remain compatible with the BB district. Extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby property. The property is currently surrounded by single-family residential lots, with the exception of a few areas in this general vicinity that are 1 and 2 family residential lots. Staff does not foresee any detrimental impacts to nearby property if the request is granted. The property will remain residential and has the same size, height, and setback regulations as the existing, zoning. We did also look at some of the properties in that area. The property in River Forest, where those on the map here, where they were recently, the duplexes were added. The properties across the street, some of those houses were constructed. We did look at the appraised values on those. They maintained their appraisal, and the property is increasing compatible with the rest of the city. So it did not appear to have an effect on their property values. Suitability of the subject property. The property, oh, I already read that one, didn't I? Sorry. Length of time, subject properties remain vacant as zoned. As zoned, this has been vacant the entire time. However, it was maintained for parkland initially, and then as it sold as residential, it has also remained vacant. Relative gain to the public health, safety, and welfare. The health, safety, and welfare matters associated with the proposed BB 1 and 2 family zoning should not be significantly different than those associated with the existing A single family zoning. Conformance of the requested change to the adopted plans. Hazel's land use plan identifies the property as residential, and the comprehensive plan provides the following goal for housing: to provide a variety of housing choices for current and future populations. Within the land use plan, we do not designate a difference between the different types of residential properties. It's just a broad residential district. Impact of the proposed development on community facilities. The municipal water is available to the property. Sewer will need to be extended to the property, and the property owner is aware of that. Municipal services such as police and fire protection are already provided to the area, and no additional burden is anticipated. Opposition or support of residents. 2 property owners have indicated their opposition by phone call. Let's see, on September 1st, I received a phone call from Odell Harper, and he's going to be out of the country today, so he was not able to be here. So he did want to state that he is opposed to the change because the duplexes he believes would be an eyesore, and the duplexes would have a negative impact on property values. On September 3rd, Ken Allback called and stated he opposed the change. He asked about a gas line that's under the property. He was told a long time ago that there was a gas line through there and that the property would never be developed. We checked and there's not. It is north and then it goes east. On September 4th, Leah Shively called and she just wanted information on what was proposed. She was going to drive by the property and call back if she had any objections. Staff is recommending approval of this. We believe that this does meet with the area and would be a good use of the land. So our recommended motion is within the staff report. And that is all that I have. Do you have any questions of me?
I'm supposed to ask that.
How many duplexes are they wanting to build?
2 duplexes.
That would be 4 units?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any more questions for staff? Now's the time for any member of the public to speak. You have 5 minutes. If you are presenting good factual information, this time may be extended by vote. Please state your name and address first. you're the agent for the applicant, right?
Yes.
So should that go as part of the public or after?
After.
Sorry, it's a long script. Hearing, seeing no members of the public, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to close the public hearing. The public portion.
No, public hearing.
Okay. Is there any, there should be a section in here for discussion, right?
Right, you'll get the, after you, let's hear from the applicant.
Yeah. Now's your time, Will. Please state your name for the record, even though I'm holding it.
Good evening. My name is Will Clevenger with Garver, here on behalf of the applicant. We're in agreement with staff comments and that being how long this property is set vacant and wanting to make the property improvable, we think this is a good use for the zone change, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question. Are these, once completed, are they going to be sold, or are you guys going to rent them?
I do not know the answer to that. I am here with Brian Legale, the property owner, tonight. If you wanted to comment on that. Or...
I plan to keep them.
And rent them?
Yes.
Okay,
I've got a few other properties in town here as well.
okay.
I have another one too.
Okay.
Will the individual homeowners be in charge of outside maintenance and
No,
where do you hire that out?
I usually landscape them, sod them, put sprinklers in, and then fences up, and then I have a guy that takes care of them, that mows them and keeps them up.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? I would entertain a motion at this point if there's no more discussion.
Is it this right here? That she's wanting? After 9.
What's the question?
Is it the motion after 9 that you're wanting?
Yes.
The wording on?
Yes, please.
I'd make a motion to approve the request to change the zoning classification of Paradise Valley Edition, Reserve A, from AA, single-family residential, to BB, 1 and 2 family residential, based on the findings of fact and forward a recommendation of approval to City Council.
Is that single A, not double A?
Reserve,
Should be A.
Yeah, single A.
single A, from AA.
Nope. From single A
It
to,
says.
okay, well, it's a typo. From
Okay.
single A to BB is what your motion is, correct?
Okay, so this is, the wording is wrong.
There was just too many A's added. So it's just A single family residential to BB 1 and 2 family.
Okay, that.
I'll second that.
Okay.
The A or the double A?
The single A to BB. I have a motion and second to recommend to City Council to change this from A, single family, to BB, 1 and 2 family. You want to, all in favor, or do you want a roll call?
Let's roll call. Asia,
Yes.
Rankin, Plover,
Yes.
Weathington,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
apologize for the staff report. We're trying to mimic the county, or not the county, city council. And I forgot a couple things.
It's okay. I'm fine looking dumb. I'm used to it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Under new business, we have consideration of zone change from rural residential to mobile home at 839 West 81st Street South in the area of influence.
Go for it. Apparently I can't talk today, so.
Thank you. Good evening. Dave Yearout, Principal Planner with the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Department. And the staff report we provided you is a little map that shows where this property is. It's a single lot down in the development that was created on Chapman Acres. That was created in 1957, going east off of South Seneca. Created 81st Street and a series of lots. Most of them at the time were occupied by single-wide mobile homes, which were permitted by right in the county in the county at that time, there was not really even zoning for that area at that time. Through the years, the county has adopted new zoning regulations as the Unified Zoning Code between Wichita and Sedgwick County. And under the current rules, the only manufactured home that can be placed on a lot by right is what's called a residential design manufactured home, which is essentially a double wide. And there was a single wide on this lot that was removed, according to the story that the applicant provided, that I think you got a copy of. The gentleman that lived there passed. The unit sat vacant for some time. When his estate then sold the property, the next door neighbor bought the lot that happens to be the mother of the applicant that wants to move here. They're wanting to put a single wide back on, but it's going to be one of the modern ones, which is an 18 wide and 80-foot long single wide. For those that don't know, that's about the largest single wide that you can put in Kansas today. They've only allowed 18 wides to be hauled into Kansas for the past few years. It used to be 16 was the maximum. As he indicates, he priced a double wide, which if this was a double wide and was put on a permanent foundation, it would be permitted. They'd be doing it now. He's telling us that the double wide, which gives about the same square footage as what he wants to put in there, is $20,000 more to buy it, and they're both brand new. So he's asking, well, he approached the county about what do I do. There was a single wide there. The grandfather rights are gone. Under the zoning code, in effect, this is the process by which they can be approved. So they've got to rezone the property, and that's why we're here tonight. So if approved, it's going to be a single wide put back in there, much bigger, much newer. And they've got to meet all the requirements of the environmental code. I think it's a water well. The on-site wastewater system will have to be brought up to code. So that's going to have to also be done. He's fully aware of that, and he's more than happy to do that. But we're walking through this process, and as you can see, this is scheduled to go to the City County Planning Commission on the 8th of October. And we're here tonight because this falls within Hayesville's area of influence by the zoning code, and you're extended the opportunity to review and comment. And last time I was here, we had a room full of people. I still more to call. Some of you may recall, Bob was, I know, was here. Apparently Mark was too, and remembers. We'll get into that if you really want to know the story about that. But, so anyway, to that extent, I'll be happy to answer any questions you got. So
I have a couple, and most of it's just my own ignorance on the topic, but the issue here is really that this is 18 feet wide instead of 22 foot wide.
Yes.
Okay.
It's classified still as single wide, not a double wide. And by statute, that's where that 22 body feet width comes into play. It's the statute that creates what's called the residential design manufactured home. And that mandates every city and county in the state, you can regulate where manufactured homes go, but you have to allow what they call residential design anywhere they can build a site-built home.
But
And
at the
that's
time,
why-
at the time that single wide and double wide designation was created, was it 12 and 22
Well,
ish?
yeah. They don't call it double wide, they just say 22 body feet in width. And at that time, when the statutes were written in 91, 16 wide was the maximum you could haul. So they knew that a manufactured home was not being built wider, wider than about 18 feet was always being built anywhere, but you couldn't put a what was then a single wide or a 16 wide in. Now, will they ever get to the point they build 22 body feet of wood? I don't know what the industry's going to do, but that's what we're running into.
Okay.
The residential design had requirements for what looked like regular siding, a pitched roof.
It's got to be, there's 5 standards by statute. It has to be a manufactured home, which means it's a HUD-built code home. It's got to be placed on a permanent foundation, roofing and siding materials comparable to site-built homes, and it's got to have a pitched roof. Yeah, and 22 feet wide. Those are the 5 standards.
Is this 18-foot wide home
Yeah.
built that way?
They had the pitched roof and the siding materials anymore. Well, you can't argue that says, well, they can't have a metal roof because we've got regular houses that have metal roofs. So they meet every other standard except the width of the home.
Okay.
And under the building code requirements, they'll be placed on permanent foundation, and code office had pretty good standards on what that has to be. And that means the difference is we're not putting blocks and skirting like you see in a mobile home park.
What was the original intent of going to 22 feet? And
The legislature's the one that did that, and it was to guarantee that it wouldn't be single wides. They were not going to, because when the statute was being rewritten, I only know because I'm old enough to have been part of that whole process. The manufactured home industry within the state was very, very active in getting the legislature to say, you keep preaching we need more affordable housing. The most affordable housing that exists are manufactured homes, and they also did not like the fact that they were not treated when they were placed on individual lots the same as regular real estate. They were still, in many cases, being treated as personal property. You had to get a car tag for them and put it in the window and the whole thing. So they got the legislature to agree to allow them, but part of the discussion came out that they would say, okay, and you got to understand there were communities back at that time that had ordinances on the book that just said we're not even going to allow mobile homes and mobile home parks. They're just prohibited. And those ended up getting litigated, and the communities lost those arguments over time. But the legislatures put in and said, okay, we will accept the fact that we will tell all the cities and counties in Kansas that they and this is not verbatim, but it's what, you cannot prohibit manufactured homes in your community. But we're not going to tell you they have to go on individual lots. We will, though, buy in that the double wide with these standards, that you've got to allow them the same as any place you can get a permit to build a site-built, stick-built home. Now, they put a provision in the statute that also said if there are covenants established in that subdivision. In covenants, through private agreements, a developer can prohibit a manufactured home, even a double wide. But the cities and the counties do not have the authority to do that. So that was the creation of the legislature, and also we know how wisdom-filled those people always are. So,
Please.
but that's where they came
Oh,
from.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is there any other discussion at all? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as presented. Approve it as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to approve the zone change request. Does that recommend approve?
Recommend approve.
Recommend approval of the zone change request. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item B under new business, consideration of revision to bylaws.
I have put together some recommendations. Some of them are to make it easier to read, some of them are to conform to the ordinances, and some of them are the practice that has been happening that should be in the bylaws. So I don't know if you want to go down the list through them, if you want me to just touch on some of the big ones.
I think touch on some of the big ones and we can,
So
thank you,
one of-
Dave.
Okay. One of the big ones would be the term of office, to have them all expire on the same date, June 30th of each year. The reason for that is, I don't know if you've looked at your list, but you have some people expiring on the May, some in March. It's just hard for me to follow to make sure we're getting you reappointed at the right time. So if everybody was in the same month.
Okay. If we all don't get reappointed, you're gonna have a pretty
Well, it'll
tough
still
time.
be staggered by years.
Okay.
I'm not saying we'll maintain the years, we'll just change it to June.
Okay. So you only lose half of us then.
Well, that's not up to me, so.
I saw we've got official language for online meetings.
Yes, that was a big one that we went ahead and decided we should go ahead and add. How to do that. I did reduce some of what they said the duties were, because it didn't necessarily need to be in there. A lot of it's already spelled out in the zoning code or subdivision regulations. Meetings, that was something I wanted to discuss. I kept this the same as what it is. My question would be, is the 7 o'clock time still what you want to keep? I know that's what it's just always been, and I didn't know if you guys had ever discussed anything or like the 7. It's totally up to you guys.
I don't see any reason to change it.
I really feel like there were any other big items.
Does anybody have questions about specific items that they noticed or wanted clarification on?
Oh, I did spell out more of the procedure for the zoning hearings, for the 2 different types. Because you have your legislative type hearings when we're revising the zoning ordinance or subdivision regulations, and then the quasi judicial, like we just had tonight for the zoning change. So they're just a little different in their procedures, so that's spelled out in here.
Well, as long as the script's right.
Right?
It all makes sense to me.
So if this works for everybody, we just need a motion to adopt
I'll
these revisions.
make a motion to that effect.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to approve or adopt
Adopt the
the
revised bylaws.
revised bylaws. Is that your motion?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No old business. Is there any correspondence, informational reading? Any committee updates?
Haven't been meeting.
No off agenda?
I have one opportunity. I'd like to introduce Tiffany. She is the new planning and zoning administrator for the city. She's looking forward to learning all kinds of stuff about planning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
When do you take over?
Last week.
You see. Well, I was that you were still running the meeting.
Well, we thought we'd ease her into it.
Oh,
Let her
come
see how
on.
it goes first.
Just throw her to the wolves.
Didn't want to scare her away. But that's all I have.
Item 10.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
That's a motion. Do you second? Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, everybody.